Welcome to Marketing Monday. I'm Leigh Ann from Foresight, joined by Teddy Helfrich from WelcomeHome. Hey, Teddy.
Hey, Leigh Ann, how
Uh,
are you?
Check out our shirts. That is actually the Welcome Home logo. They had that specially made and have them for all sorts of holidays, Teddy. That's just amazing. I love that. Today, we are going to talk about your marketing and how it stacks up when compared to national data. The trends, are you getting as many leads as everybody else? Are there things that's working for other people that you could maybe incorporate into your marketing? Teddy knows all of the secrets because of Welcome Home, and we're going to talk about them. But first, this. Teddy, we saw John in that video. He is out traveling today, right? So you're our
He's
special
on
guest
the
for the.
road, but I'm glad that we got to show the handsome cartoon of him because it's much better looking than he actually is. So glad that we have that.
Nice. Okay. Excellent. And I heard that you and John may not be my guest for an upcoming show. Is there somebody else who might be coming from Welcome Home?
Yeah, we're super excited to announce that today is the first day of Chris Mormon. He's going to be our new VP of marketing. He previously was at a marketing agency for the space called Markentum. So obviously already very familiar with the industry. We could not be more excited to have him. Selfishly, I am probably the most excited because I get to drop and marketing from my title, and he takes over everything. So, which was just going to be a huge benefit to the company and to our customers as well.
That's so exciting. And that is always exciting. So we look forward to hanging out with him a lot more. But today, all right. So here's the deal. Welcome home. You somehow, Teddy, you know a lot of data as it relates to marketing nationwide and in specific markets. What's working and what's not. How do you know this, Teddy?
Yeah, well, being that we are the CRM of choice, right, for industry leading operators, we have aggregated data about all the things that operators in the industry are seeing. And I think the key difference, obviously, in the data that we have is that it's actual data, right? It's the actual things that flow in as opposed to self-reported data. And so I think that that's good in twofold. One, it's real, right? It's not self-inflated or anything of that nature. But two, it's just gives everybody some good insights into how you're doing, because I think in the industry as a whole, everyone probably has a hunch about how they think they're doing compared to that competitors. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's nice to know that, oh, it wasn't just me, right? Or this isn't something that's unique to me, or, oh, this is just me. I've got to fix something. So I think that's the goal when we produce reports. We're about to produce a full year in review, and give some more insights into that as well.
Oh, that's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go over 5 questions today, and they are 5 of the top questions that Welcome Home gets from marketers. So we have a feeling if you're watching, you probably have these questions too. Let's go ahead and delve into number 1. Um, Here's a big question. What is the volume of leads like in the market?
Yeah, that is a big question. So the volume of leads fluctuates based on seasonality, and there's other factors of that as well: market, inflation, finance, personal finances from everybody, as well as just trends that you see in weather. But so in Q2, you saw probably average number of inquiries per month was about 50, and that an operator was, or a community was seeing 50 new leads coming into the system per month. Q3, that dropped to about 40. So you saw a drop down in terms of the number of new leads. And then I anticipate, we're compiling Q4 in the end, and don't want to say things until we have the final numbers at the end of the quarter. But I anticipate it's going to rise a little bit again in Q4, in terms of what's going on. But I think the most interesting thing was that drop in Q3 in terms of the number of inquiries that came in. So if you're a marketer and you saw a drop, I would, and you were concerned about said drop, or your leadership team or your investors were concerned about said drop, right? That wasn't something that was unique to you as an operator. That was industry wide. There was a kind of a drop in inquiries that were received.
Teddy, have you kept track of that over the years? I imagine during the pandemic, it's been, all over the place, different. Is it normal to have a drop in Q3? Do you know?
It's normal for there to be seasonality. I would need to look in specific about Q3, but it's normal for there to be certain seasons that you expect to see more leads versus less leads. The pandemic obviously has changed data and how you look at it, because it was an outlying case that sometimes throws curveballs in the situation, but it's perfectly normal to see seasonality with these things.
And then when people go home and see their parents for the holidays and realize they might need more help than they realized, you can get an uptick typically, right?
Yeah, if the more FaceTime you get around your family members and then start to realize that things may or may not be as you want them to be, right, then you'll certainly see a spike. I feel that in my own life.
Yeah. When we're talking today, we're going to be talking about national data, which is going to give people some good general points. But what if they want some data that's more specific to their specific market? Is that available too with WelcomeHome?
Yeah, so we're pretty excited about the insights team that we've built out and are building out at WelcomeHome. John, our founder, who's obviously not here, spent 20 years in management consulting at a firm that he would argue is the best in the world at management consulting. Most people at least would recognize that it's top 3, but it was Bain Consulting. And so he's brought on some people full time in our company. Maggie is wonderful. She's one of the people that runs our insights team, and they're digging deep into the data in terms of what we offer. So for our clients, there's going to be a lot more that is going to be given to them throughout the year. For our non-clients, there's probably some stuff that we will not publicly release at all times. But the whole goal with WelcomeHome is we want the people that choose to partner with us to be the best because they chose to partner with us. So whatever data we can give them, whether it be market specific or something, is something that we're looking to help them have a competitive advantage overall.
That is so exciting, because then you don't have to sit there and wonder, is it, like you said, is it me? Or you can actually find out. So let's go to question 2. This is an interesting one. Are you seeing anything as it relates to length of stay and lead source?
Yeah, I think this one is really, really interesting. We're diving deeper into this one for the overall year. But what we're noticing so far is that if you look at length of stay by lead source, and if you start to think, where am I getting my leads that are staying the longest in my community, probably the number one is going to be from events that you're doing when you're hosting events and you're actually getting people in, right? And if you think about that, when events had to shut down for a really long period of time in the pandemic, there's likely some correlation there. But it's good to know that people are able to host events again. And WelcomeHome has the event portal inside the platform, so that kind of validated our justification in dedicating resources into building that portion of WelcomeHome, which is great. Events are generally going to be the longest length of stay, but surprisingly, then it's referrals. Unsurprisingly, it's referrals. So you have the people that you know and you trust and you've been working to give you leads. They're driving longer length of stay. And then the other 2 that I think are very interesting are sort of your physical advertising. So not actually your digital advertising, but your physical advertising, the direct mail you're doing, the print ads. Those are driving long lengths of stay. And I think we could, we're still in early analysis on all of this, but there's likely some very easy answers to that in terms of why. And one, which is it's a longer nurturing period. Digital can be sort of quick, instant gratification. The more needs, higher acuity base. And so, for those old school advertising methods, so far we would seem to say are still leading towards longer lengths of stay. And then after that, if you start thinking about your paid aggregators, they rank, close to 15th in terms of lengths of stay from lead sources. So, which I think ultimately boils down to a question that I generally like asking CEOs, VPs of sales, VPs of marketing is, what actually does success look like for your community? I think it's a very important question to ask. Is success, hey, your building is full at 100%, no move outs, in a perfect world for 7 straight years. You needed no more move-ins, you needed no more move-outs. You found the golden length of stay lead source, and it just gave you someone that filled your buildings for all time. Is that success? Or do you generally like a decent amount of turnover because of other things that might affect your bottom line? And so I think marketers and C-suite need to weigh in what actually is our business case. I think staff would probably tend to say less move outs would be great, but your finance team may have a different answer to that question. So it's a good question for, I think, everybody to look hard at and actually answer.
That's such a good point, because never assume, and maybe different people have different outlooks on that. But I want to say that to me is headline breaking news, huge, that events, it's particular, and physical ads, and you also mentioned referral, which again is not a surprise, but the events and the physical advertising you do translates to longer length of stay. That's fascinating. And those are the types of things that often get a little bit overlooked in the race to go digital, which is also important. But my goodness, that's fascinating. Really interesting. I look forward to hearing the why. Yeah.
And I think, we'll get into some other stuff afterwards, but it's interesting when you think about what's going in, but there's length of stay, but there's also volume, which I think we're going to get to as well.
Right. True. There's pros and cons of everything, I'm sure. But that's really interesting and good. Probably good for a lot of marketers to hear as they plan their potential holiday events. Good reason to do them. So let's go on to question number 3 that you get asked a lot by marketers, which is, how are the leads trending?
Yeah, I think that the trend of the leads is interesting because they're increasing, kind of counter to what we were just talking about. The leads are increasing for digital. So more leads are coming in a digital basis, right? So if you're getting longer lengths of stay, traditionally from older ones, but the new trend is digital, how do you combat both of those? And how do you push those digital leads to longer lengths of stay? Or how do you evaluate your sources from your digital leads that are also giving you the longest length of stay? So it's digital, referrals again. So referrals are still huge. And then aggregators, right? And then if you look at your conversion ratios, you're going to see your highest conversion ratios from referrals. Just hands down, those are going to be your highest conversion ratios. Aggregators are going to be your lowest conversion, and then digital is going to be, in the middle in that sense. But that's things are trending towards the digital base in terms of volume. And digital and referrals both still have good conversion rates as well as you look towards it. I believe, if we look at Q3, tour to move-in increased to about 33%. From about 27% in Q2. So you're starting to see, more people that are getting to the tour actually converting to the move-in, while inquiry to move-in more or less stayed the same, roughly, between 10 and 9%. So you're seeing these trends of inquiry to move-in is staying the same, tour to move-in is going up, and I guess unsurprising in that matter, it's the inquiries going down, tour to move-in going up, which equals inquiry to move-in overall kind of staying the same amount, which is interesting to see that, sales and marketing need to be in sync and working better together, because even if you have less leads, you still can convert them and get all the move-ins you need for your building.
So I'm a marketer also, or at least in my background, and we're kind of stereotypically not loving math. And I'm going to be a stereotype for a second because my mind just went, I should be taking notes. All of those ups and downs and stuff. What's your biggest takeaway then for what you just said? What do we need to know to just focus on?
Yeah, we need to know that you have to pay attention to the digital lead, right? You have to be responsive to the digital lead. Digital is driving the volume, so you need to make sure that your messaging and your marketing towards your digital leads is precise. I think the most common thing that we hear from marketers is, or rather from salespeople about their marketing department, right, is I get a lot of leads that sometimes are for jobs, people looking to work at the community, right? And clearly they're not a qualified lead in that sense. So with the rise in digital leads, it just goes to the fact that your actual marketing and the actual verbiage that you use in every digital advertisement and where you're driving them to needs to be super concise if you're wanting to drive more move-ins total, because people are going to digital. And then the second takeaway is you have to be doing referral development. You have to be marketing to potential referral partners, that law firms, social services, anything that you want to see there, hospitals. You have to be marketing to those people, because a market resource that you allocate for a referral partner could yield you 10 move-ins, as well as as opposed to a market resource that you do to one family could yield you just that one potential move-in. So there's good avenues in both those aspects.
And we know referrals also leads to, because I'm taking notes. Referrals also leads to a longer length of stay. It's one of those. So referrals has been king since senior living was a thing. But it's interesting that it continues. I guess it makes sense, but it's good to be reminded.
I think that the common disconnect is that maybe sales owns referral development and marketing owns producing digital. And I would argue against that. I would say that both people need to be heavily involved, and you need to place as much emphasis in marketing towards your referral partners as you do towards just your sort of B2C in the sense, right? To your customers, your business to customers marketing, to prospects and families. I would allocate the same amount of effort to that.
That is gold right there. That is really good. Soundbite right there. That's headline number 2. Market to your referrals just as much as, or your referrers just as much. Let's go to the next question, which we've covered a little bit. The question is, how are they converting?
Yeah, we covered it a little bit, but I think that the news that you want to share is that the getting them into a tour so far is, once you do that, is going higher. They're converting at a better clip. That's improving over the course of the year. However, inquiry to tour in Q3 dropped a little bit, right? Inquiries went down, and therefore inquiry to tour percentage also went down. So there's reasons that you want to understand about that, which is, first and foremost, if you're a marketer and you're listening to this and right now you're doing your best to drive in as many leads as possible, whether you're using WelcomeHome or not, right? You need to make sure that you are in sync with your sales team and there's no, what I call, leakage of leads that are going through. Statistical averages of people not using CRMs are, your sales team may only get in touch with 30 to 40% of the leads that you actually drive them, right? If you're using a CRM, it goes up. If you're using a CRM that is connected to the avenues that you're driving those leads in, it goes up even still. And then, of course, if you're using WelcomeHome, it goes up even higher. But the avenue that you want to understand is you're doing a lot of effort. You need to make sure that your messaging is clear, so qualified leads are funneling in. And then B, how are you tracking the response rate of your sales team once you drive that rate in so that you can understand what's going on? And then C, are you getting the feedback loop to tell you the lead you drove me actually wasn't good because of X, Y, and Z? Because then you can retarget and adjust. And if the systems you're using or that you have in place aren't facilitating that, then I encourage you to look at the systems you're using.
Nicely done. I have a question that's not really, I'm going to insert my own question here, and this could probably be a whole episode on this. Can you hear me still?
I got you. It was a little jumbled at first, but we're back.
Hi. You mentioned a couple of times the messaging. At one point, you said make sure it's tight messaging, and this time you said make sure it's good. Do you have any tips or any common pitfalls that you see in general with the messaging driving leads
Yeah, I
or moving?
think there's a few things around messaging, and I'll focus just on one that I think is very easy and very targeted. If you don't have a very clear portion on your website that is really foolproof to tell people to this is where you inquire about jobs versus this is where you inquire about becoming a resident or talking to someone in sales, then you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. I think that the communities that have like it says nothing about careers, maybe at the very bottom it says something about careers, but all over the map on the website, you're trying to get those get someone to fill out a form. Just fill out a form, talk to us. You're gonna then get people that are filling out forms for a variety of different reasons, just because it looks like that's the easiest way to communicate with someone. And so you want to be very clear on your website and in your marketing material and your landing pages about who you're marketing to and where someone should go if they're looking for the various things. I think the most demoralizing thing a salesperson can get is they get an alert. You've got a new lead, a new inquiry to get a move in, and they come in and it's, hi, I'm interested in working in your community, right? And it's like, it
Yeah.
just takes the wind out of your sails. And so that is probably one of the easiest tweaks that you can get that allows you to funnel on it. Now, there's plenty of others in terms of tools that you can use to help drive conversion ratios or to truly weed out bad leads. Like Rubric obviously is a good example of somebody that if they're answering all those questions on a Rubric survey, then they're obviously probably a little bit more qualified than another one. But there's tools that you can use to make sure that you are driving in the right kind of lead to your salesperson, because their time is super important. It's just as important as the marketing team's time. And so you want to try and make sure that your messaging is clear so that they don't get affected.
Yeah, just some tweaks would solve some problems. It sounds like some headaches. Yeah, let's note that for a future episode. We'll talk more about messaging.
Yeah.
But we've got our last question here, want to delve into, and then we'll get to some final wrap ups, which is what is driving engagement?
This is a good one. I mean, it's consumer behavior, right? And so I think it differs by care type, it differs by season, and it differs by market, right? And so driving engagement is key in a few different areas. First is education, I would say. So especially if you're trying to get to the people that are going to be your longer length of stay. Education is one that is driving a lot of engagement right now that marketers can do. And it's not educating necessarily about your community. It's more educating about the senior living industry at large, right? And what the benefits of that can do. Because a lot of times you'll have either prospective residents and or the, adult child who's thinking about their parents who it may not have clicked to them yet that this is something that they want to do. And so if a lot of your material that you're doing is educational and you have a lot of resources to get them in to understand what's going on and the things that they're dealing with currently, that is going to keep people engaged in your platform for a long time. I think James Lee is someone with his Bella Groves Memory Care who does education on a pretty great basis, right? It is educating about what you're going through if you're dealing with someone who has dementia, right? And what you're going to be coming up against. So those are the things I would say. Education is great if you're looking to get people earlier in the funnel. And then the next is just overall market awareness and consumer trends. So if you understand how people buy in your current market, in your current industry, where they're engaging and who they're engaging with, then you're going to be able to be a little bit more specific. And I guess being even a little bit more granular in that, understanding who has the best brand in your area and or who has the most referrals that they're driving, and how can you make yourself top of mind. So that's kind of goes back full circle to what I said earlier about marketing to your referral partners. If you can market to your referral partners and be the number one community that's on the tip of their tongue anytime they have it, that is going to go much further to increasing your brand awareness across lots of people than some of the other avenues where you might spend your dollars.
Referrals again, the age-old winner, referrals. When we talk about, one last question about engagement. When we're talking about engagement, if you do social media, you know what engagement means there. It means people liking, commenting on, sharing, that sort of thing, and subscribing or following your page. What other types of engagement should marketers be looking for? For example, blog subscriptions or?
Yeah, number of subscriptions to blogs. It should be click-through rates, right? In terms of when you're actually sending out emails, who's actually opening, who's clicking on the links and the attachments, right? WelcomeHome tracks that as well, so it makes it easy to understand what's my click-through rate, how many times has so and so opened X marketing email. You want to understand the behavior that you're driving, because at the end of the day, if those metrics are lower than what you want to actually see, then I need to tweak subject lines, I need to tweak layout, I need to understand everything. And that's important for both marketers as well as salespeople to understand, because guess what? As a salesperson, you might not be marketing per se, but you're still sending out emails that people need to open. And if no one's opening your emails, you need to take a hard look at what your email is actually written at and is saying. So I'd say those are another couple avenues that you want to definitely look through, is click-through rates of everything that you're actually sending. And then the final one is just channels, right? What channels you are getting best engagement on in terms of subscribers, likes, click-through rates, etc. And then understanding that each medium has a different voice. So what you say on Twitter versus what you say on LinkedIn versus what you say on Facebook, and how you say it matters, because the audience that you are getting is viewing things different. There's a lot of great studies in terms of the analysis of the voice of companies in the different mediums. Some people they're more irreverent on, say, Twitter. Companies are, they'll be they'll sarcastic, they'll joke. I don't necessarily know that that's the play for senior living, but it's important to understand that these big businesses, they communicate in different ways on different platforms, and you should have an idea of what converts better with different audiences, because the same audience you're engaging with on TikTok is going to be different than the audience you're engaging with on LinkedIn.
Well, I'm hearing another episode there, because that would be fascinating to delve into. That's great. Does WelcomeHome keep benchmarks? Like, we have benchmarks for open rates and things like that?
There's going to be a variety of different things that we're going to put out in the coming weeks and months. Okay. I'll find out all the statistics that we are, but I don't have an answer if that was going to be one on it.
Yeah. It's well, and I'm sure it depends on the type of content that you're talking about. Like a sales letter versus a newsletter versus whatever. Well, this has been just fascinating. I know that I, for one, am going to need to rewatch it and actually take some more notes. It's just packed with really good information. Thank you very much, Teddy. If people want to learn more about WelcomeHome and the CRM, what should they do?
You go to our website, request a demo. I would say request a demo in any circumstance, so you can see more about WelcomeHome, why it's the best in class senior living CRM. But also, if you want to know more about industry insights, right? The reps here, they know the trends. They can talk about things. We can set up conversations. So please reach out to us. We want to have conversations. We want people to be better just because they chose to partner with us, and that they were kind enough to do that. So we'll do everything we can in our power to help them. So just come request a demo and learn more.
Fantastic. And tell us the name of your head of marketing again, so we can connect with him on LinkedIn. Chris
Moorman, connect with him. He's going to be our VP of marketing. Today's his first day. Field all your marketing questions over to him. He is now the point of contact there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Teddy. It's been great to talk with you. And we will see everybody. We've got a kind of a weird schedule on Marketing Monday this month. So we're going to do every other week, I believe it is. So just keep an eye out on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And we look forward to closing out the year strong. We'll see you next time.